But I think we can now transition to the defense, where first-round picks, we have invested a lot of capital into these over the years, which some people disagree with. I'm okay with it because I always hear people saying, you guys are wasting Rodgers' career with a bad defense. So what's the best way to alleviate that? Draft the best prospects you can on defense. So, Nick, what are your thoughts? And why don't you give us some specifics on our first pick?
So, me and you were talking before draft. We said, all right, to win the Super Bowl, we need an offensive weapon that's a wide receiver and a defensive weapon that's a cornerback to play against Jair. And that's exactly what we did in the first round. We got Eric Stokes, who's a cornerback from Georgia. I was completely happy with this pick. Everyone was like, oh, my gosh, all the Aaron Rodgers news. Why wouldn't they get a wide receiver in the first round? The top wide receivers were gone. There were going to be wide receivers later, which we addressed. I'm glad we got a cornerback. He stands at 6 foot. He's 194. And I'm happy with this pick.
Yeah, so I need to watch more of him, but from what I have watched, obviously incredible athlete. He's actually really lengthy. He's 6'1", but he's kind of skinnier. Not afraid to play up at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, he has insane speed. 4.25 at his pro day. So
4.24.
Yeah, it was something just ridiculous. But I will say is, although he does run that, there isn't too many times in the game where you can just watch him and be like, that guy runs a 4.24. He ran track in high school, and he's just super fast in a straight line, but his change of direction and his hips turning and stuff is not quite at the same level as just pure line speed, which is not ideal, but I mean, it's really hard to have both of those. And I think he's more of a guy that they took on just because of his athletic profile. There's definitely times I know against Alabama where maybe they wouldn't pass the ball to Waddle, but Waddle would just run straight at him. And, he can obviously just change direction so well that he would just leave Stokes in the dust. But
probably why he went ahead of him in the draft.
Yeah, probably why he was the number 6 pick. But anyways, recovery speed's really good, and I think he's honestly way better in zone than he is man. There's definitely a couple times where he'd have a blown coverage in zone, which, that's what you hope to get fixed out and coach up and get that out of his system. But he definitely, plays with his eyes well. He had 4 interceptions last year, which is pretty good. Shows he has decent ball skills. And yeah, I think as a zone corner, he will be really, really good. And one half of the field is already, for the most part, on shutdown with Jair. So him and King just, figure out the rest of the field, and they should be able to get it done.
Yeah. So Jair is going to lock down his field. He's got his own island, and he was the last corner we took in the first round. Hopefully, Eric Stokes can be almost Jair. He doesn't even have to be all of Jair. He just has to be a percentage of Jair. I'm hoping Eric Stokes can take over Kevin King's job, because Kevin King he's a decent corner, but if Eric Stokes takes his job, that means he's a better corner, and that means we have Jair and then someone better than Kevin King on the other side of the field. And I think that would be really scary for opposing quarterbacks to go up against. I think that's the way that the Packers want to allow 40 points in the playoffs. And I want to see Eric Stokes become, because as Blake was saying, right now he's a fast guy, but he has some trouble changing direction. So I think that's why the Packers went with him. They saw this athletic guy who's super fast, and they said, all right, he's almost there. We just got to coach him a little bit. We got to teach him the game a little bit more, but he's really close. And I think the Packers saw a lot of potential. I thought they might have even seen someone who might be a little better than him right now, but they see Eric Stokes as someone with a higher ceiling. So I'm going to say let's give it time, and let's hope this pick plays out just like the Jair pick did.
And I did want to say, too, so they really love taking guys with high athletic profiles. Darnell Savage, obviously, and Rashawn Gary. And, I mean, I was wrong on Rashawn Gary. I wasn't a big fan of the pick in his first year. He didn't show much, but last year he showed out to be really good, got a lot of pressures towards the end of the season, and was really coming in on his own. So the Packers' strategy of drafting just hyper-athletic guys in the first round seemed to be decent, at least on defense over the last few years. I'd say Gary and Savage, I don't think they're busts at all. Obviously, Jair's not. So taking the guys with athletic profiles that do have the potential to become special is a pretty decent strategy.
And now we can move on to our next defensive pick in the draft. This is another position that me and Blake talked about, is defensive line. We wanted someone to help Kenny Clark stop the run. We actually got someone who's good at stopping the pass, though. His name's Tadero Slayton. He's a defensive lineman from Florida, and he's a big dude. He is 6'4", 330 pounds. Blake, tell us about him.
Yeah, so when you hear that, you're thinking, all right, this dude's just going to eat double teams and just kill the run, but he's not as good against the run as you would think. He's honestly a little better. I'd say comparatively, his pass rushing is better than his run stuffing, which is kind of interesting. I think the thought here is that he has the athletic profile of someone that can eat double teams, and if him and Clark are able to do that, like our D line would just get that much better. Because against the run, we just don't have the size on the D line. I mean, Lancaster and Lowry and Kingsley Keke just aren't the biggest dudes. Clark does a good job, but you need more than him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can come in and, improve his run defense. And in the pass game, I don't know how much he'll actually be out there on obvious passing downs, like 3rd and 8+, because we have a good rush of Smith, Gary, Clark.
Other Smith hopefully comes back as a good rusher.
But he'll get in there in the rotation a decent amount, I think, and I'm excited because we need more talent on the D line. It's really that simple. Lancaster, Lowry, and Keke are just not where we want them to be for a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So maybe he can motivate them. Maybe he can come in and give them a breather and provide some more pass rushing.
Yeah, and Kenny Clark, fantastic at stopping the run. He had a slow start this last season, but he figured it out. We just gave him a lot of money because he's a good player, and he's starting to earn the money that we gave him. But we said earlier, me and Blake said, inner D lineman, that's what we need. We need someone to help Clark stop the run. We need someone to eat those run. And if this guy can turn into that, I know right now he's better at going up against the pass game. I just don't know how much he's going to be in there to go up against the pass game. So if we start throwing running backs at him, hopefully he can start taking them to the ground. And that would mean we have Clark and Slayton stopping the run. We got Jair and hopefully Stokes stopping the pass. And this Packers defense can go back to what it was when we were Super Bowl champions, because we don't have the best defense right now. But this last season, our defense improved a lot compared to earlier seasons where we'd be a bottom 10. Last season, I think we were ranked like top 10 defense, right at the bottom of the list. Top half.
15. Yeah, 15th in right that range of, not quite helping our offense a ton, but also, we're not completely horrible and not.
I guess they're not on the field as much either because
that helps all the time. And we do have a new DC, and there's a ton of first-round picks and tons of talent on this defense. There's no more excuses, so I'm really hoping this year we can, fix it up a little bit and start forcing some turnovers and helping the offense.
So we had another 5th-round pick. We had 2 4th-round picks, but we only used one of them because we actually traded up on offense for the wide receiver, Amari Rodgers. So we got rid of one of those compensatory picks. But we had another 5th-round pick, and we stayed in defense. We got Shemar Jean-Charles. He's another cornerback from App State. He's 5'10", 184, so a little smaller than Stokes. But this is another corner that the Packers are going to try out and just see what he does.
So I honestly don't have too much information to share on him. I know he played in not the greatest competition, but statistics-wise, like not many passes were completed on him. And I know one knock against him is that against like bigger athletes, he might struggle just due to not being as big and as athletic as them. So that could be troubling. But one thing I will say is the Packers drafted too many guys that just had normal names like Amari Rodgers and Eric Stokes. They had to take someone that has a cool last name, and that is exactly what Shemar is, or what Shemar has. So I think that's cool. And then just adding more depth to the corner position, we did mention that double dipping at that position wouldn't be a bad thing, as you can't have enough corners because, offenses are going more pass happy, and there's always more than one or, more than 2 to 3 receivers at a time. So getting a guy who can maybe come in with injuries is pretty nice.
And I'll be honest, I probably would have preferred to double dip at wide receiver over cornerback. Those were like my two main needs, were cornerback and wide receiver. But it's okay that we double dipped at cornerback. I think that he probably won't play this year.
Not too much, at least.
And if he one day turns out to be a great cornerback, then hey, we hit it. But it's our second, 5th round pick. And if it turns out, it turns out. If it doesn't, then that's okay.
Nothing too bad, yeah.
So our last pick, that was a defensive pick, 6th round. We got a linebacker from Boston College, Isiah Mcduffie. He's 6'1", 227.
Yeah, so again, I don't have too much to say on him besides I like that we at least drafted a linebacker and maybe we have him play a little bit. He's probably the guy who's 3rd on our depth chart right now.
Yeah, I could see him out there this season.
Yeah, I'd imagine he'll play over Ty Summers. But yeah, they drafted another linebacker, and it's kind of a big position of need still. We don't have much talent there, but what we had last year from 2 rookies was promising enough where, it could be worse. And they did cut Kirksey, so I think they had to get someone there. And he will play this year, so as long as he's not too terrible, that's a good thing. The Packers, for whatever reason, have just not put any significant draft capital or spending into the middle linebacker position. They just are, them and the Eagles, I mean, they just hate investing in middle linebackers for whatever reason. Although our last great middle linebacker was when we had Desmond Bishop and when we won. So interesting there. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up for this stream. Hopefully next week we'll have a little more info to share on the Rodgers that's positive and not us talking about the fake news narratives. But that's going to wrap up this episode. And thank you for watching.